Askmen.com and Scott Kellen from 6centsports.com previewing Week 14 in the NFL here on the SBR TV NFL Experts Roundtable. All right, Dave, the third game you want to talk about is Oakland at Green Bay. Now, I'm not sure why you picked this one. I mean, Green Bay, I admit I liked them a lot last week, and I got a little bit nervous when the line movement came out in favor of the Giants, so I took half my bet back, but that was a big loser for me. Green Bay, they are still undefeated, but, the season's wearing on. Do they really have what it takes to reliably cover double-digit spreads? Maybe not. So maybe you look at Oakland, but on the other hand, you look at Oakland last week, they were just awful against Miami. Why did you pick this game, and what do you like?
Well, I like two plays in this game, one being the Oakland Raiders on the spread, and B, I also like the over in this game. Oakland's actually had a few sort of defensive malfunctions, if you will, this season where they crapped the bet against Kansas City at home, and they crapped the bet in the second half against Buffalo. I believe that was all the way back in week 2 where they blew a huge lead. Anyways, the short of it is that after those games, they've really bounced back pretty well, and head coach Hugh Jackson has talked about exactly that they've had bad efforts before. They're still in first place. The sun's still going to come up tomorrow. So, you look at those follow-up efforts in those games, and they've scored 24 and 34 points in those two games. So I see the Raiders as being able to move the football in this game and being a little bit competitive. So, the Packers are going to score, what do they average? Something like 42, maybe just under 40 points a game. They're going to score on Oakland. There's no question about that. I just see the Raiders as being able to counter after such a poor effort last week. But you look at the numbers for Oakland, they've covered 6 of their last 7 on the road. They've also covered 7 of their last 8 as a double-digit dog. So I like Oakland plus the points and the over. And the last point is just sort of a theoretical point just about Green Bay. Looks like they're fading a little bit. I'd say maybe the last month or so. They're still winning games, but a number of more close shaves than early in the season when they were blowing teams out. So I think double digits is a lot to lay against Oakland here.
Yeah, I hear you. And if I'm remembering correctly, maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like the same sort of thing happened to New England in their great season. They were a great bet for about 3/4 of the season, and then at the end of the season, they became a great bet against because they were fading.
Absolutely, they struggled against Philadelphia with A.J. Feely. They struggled against the Giants to cover the spread in the last week of the year. I recall them struggling to cover against Baltimore, and I think Baltimore had a backup quarterback, something along those lines. So we're seeing the same trends. You're absolutely right.
All right, so Scott, what do you think of that analysis? Do you think that Oakland, maybe their crappiness on the field last week was a bit fluky, and that Green Bay is wearing down, that betting against them as a double-digit fave is a good thing to do?
Yeah, I think it potentially could be. The one sticking point for me is the Packers, for me, qualify in a scheduling situation that's 55-17-1. They played on both Pittsburgh and Houston last week, and obviously won both of those games. So it's the one thing that would give me some caution of playing against Green Bay. But I make the number in this game about 6.5 points. So there's a lot of value with my number leaning towards Oakland in this game. As far as the total, I think I've got the total at 52, so it's right around where the total is. And I agree with Dave that this thing could go over the total. I think there will be some scoring in this game. The weather, we have to check the weather. I'm in Minnesota, and it's pretty cold here right now. So come Sunday, I would maybe want to check the weather a little bit closer, see what that's going to do. But the Packers have been pretty good as a double-digit home favorite this year. I think they're 3-1 or 4-1 this year as a double-digit home favorite. I mean, here's what we know with the Packers. You can mark them down, guaranteed they're going to score 27 to 30 points at home. No questions about it. Matter of fact, in every home game this year, I think they've scored 35 or more, with the exception of their 24-3 win over the Rams. So they're going to get their 30 points. And then the question becomes, can the Raiders get 20 points or so? Or if the Packers get 35, can the Raiders get 24? I think they've got a pretty good shot at it. And I don't know if the only question here is, I was just reading out on the JS Online, Milwaukee Journal Online. They do a scouting report every Wednesday on the next opponent. Mike Ford and Moore will not be back this week. That would give me a little bit of caution as well. But put a gun to my head, I'm looking at Oakland and the over. And the only stickler, like I said here, is that applies on Green Bay. It might give me second thoughts.
All right, well, how about this? This is what I'm thinking. Maybe you bet like Oakland plus 11 and the Green Bay team total over as a hedge, which is like, which should be about 32. And both those bets kind of hedge each other, and you're probably likely to win them both.
Peter, one other point in that game, by the way, as far as team totals here, I'm guessing the team total is going to be somewhere 32 for Green Bay, give or take 20 for Oakland.
Right.
And I think Oakland, just looking at my numbers here, I've got Oakland pegged for about 24 points in this game. So Oakland might even be the better total over the points here, I think. And the only other caution here, again, if it's cold, Oakland's bombed. They came here, I know it's 93, it has nothing to do with this team, but they came here in 93, lost 28-0. They came to Green Bay more recently and lost 35-7 or 38-7, I think. So I don't know if the cold weather does something to this team, but short of that, I think they'll score points, and they might even be the better play in the team total. For Green Bay, we know what score, but it's a lot of points where things could go wrong.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
I would add that Oakland either last year or the year before went into Pittsburgh and got a win in December. So I mean, sometimes they do okay. I mean, was it last year or 2 years ago? I think maybe 2 years ago with Bruce Gradkowski. They walked into Pittsburgh and got the win, and that was a cold weather game in December. They had a good finish to that year.
Right. Excellent. Look at it. Experts. This is why these guys are on the show, because they're freaking experts. All right. Well, I'm thinking maybe Oakland plus 11, Oakland team total over, and Green Bay team total over. They kind of all hedge each other, and you might win all three. So I'm thinking this might be a good game to bet here.